to talk to you about some things that we're doing at the Middle Township Police Department in New Jersey. But first, let me share with you just a little bit of background and context about where I come from in my world. 22 years in law enforcement, 9 years as chief of police, master's degree in law, public safety leadership, been to the FBI National Academy in Quantico, Virginia, and a leadership exchange fellow at the College of Policing in the United Kingdom. And all of my formal education and training has had a very strong emphasis on community, problem-oriented policing. And if you believe in community, problem-oriented policing, you understand that it's not a program, it's not a policy, it's a philosophy. And it's a philosophy where you engage partners in the community to get at the root cause of what's driving crime and social disorder. Now, I looked to what other police departments were doing to get to that root cause, and we adopted some philosophies. Enforcement, we have a category of enforcement, which is our traditional approach, and we're pretty good at it. But in my opinion, we need to be focused as much, if not more, in intervention efforts and education and prevention. Now, on our intervention efforts, we've got a terrific partner, Cape Assist, where we put a trained drug counselor, social worker in our municipal court, so when folks came in with charges, we were connecting them with services, substance abuse, mental health, housing, all types of issues to try to get at what I thought was the root cause of their behavior. Still important programs are going to continue. We also partnered with a local church, Christians United for Recovery. The heroin epidemic, the opiate epidemic, is one of the things that takes up a lot of my time, where we have recovery coaches that come into the field. Again, trying to get at what I thought was the root cause. Still an important program. Education and prevention, we're active in the community, public awareness campaigns, violence prevention, trying to give folks information to try to prevent crime in the first place. But my understanding of the root cause of crime and social disorder changed dramatically a couple years ago when I got involved with a grant through public health, of all places. So the local hospital, the only hospital in Cape May County, came to me and said, will you be part of a small coalition to apply for a grant from the Robert E. Wood Johnson Foundation, one of the largest foundations in the world, Johnson & Johnson, who's based in New Jersey, for building a culture of health in Cape May County. They took me from law enforcement. They took Chris Kovic, the superintendent of schools in Lower Township, Greg Speed, the CEO of Cape Counseling, the largest provider of mental health services in the county. They took Vicki Clark, president of the Cape May County Chamber of Commerce, one of the most powerful chamber of commerce in the state. Tom Porotsky from the hospital, who's a vice president. And then we were required to have a coach, Vicki Lockman, who was on the board of Cape Region. We were sent to Princeton. We had to go through 4 days of training through the Center for Creative Leadership. We were told to think outside the box and come back and figure out how we're going to spend $200,000 with the goal of building a culture of health in Cape May County. So when we came back, I got to admit, I didn't realize the commitment when I said yes to the president of the hospital to do this. But best thing I've ever done. Come back and we start asking ourselves questions. What's at the root cause? I went in thinking about the opiate epidemic, quite frankly. Chris Kovic, I know, was thinking about behavioral issues he's having in school, and everybody's thinking about what's going on in their little world, right? And then we came across the ACEs study, right? And I got to tell you, I was blown away. I thought that I had been getting at the root cause of crime and social disorder, but I really wasn't, right? This is the root cause. ACEs, adverse childhood experiences, the root cause of everything I'm dealing with, everything that Chris Kovic was dealing with in the school, the mental health, it was all connected. The problem was, I knew pretty clearly that, yes, this is the root cause, but I wasn't sure what to do about it. I said, man, this is a complicated problem. How's a police department of 60-some sworn full-time officers going to make a difference? But as I started to read more and I started to meet people like Mike McKnight, who's been a huge help, who lives in my county. Met Dr. Desatel. I saw her speak in January. I started to see there are things that we can do in law enforcement to make a difference. There are things that we can do. So what did we do in law enforcement in Middle Township? Well, the first thing is training. Every police officer in Middle Township has received training on adverse childhood experiences. Every police officer saw the film Resilience, the science or the biology of stress and the science of hope, followed by a 1-hour PowerPoint that I personally delivered as chief, which I don't do very often, because I wanted them to know that this was important and this was a priority to the department. Mike helped me put the PowerPoint together. We covered the toxic stress and its effect on brain development. We talked about how it's important for officers to remain calm, right? Be a thermometer, not a thermostat, Mike told me. We talked about it. I'm sorry, be a thermostat, not a thermometer. I messed that up all the time. Yeah? So that it takes a calm brain for an officer to be able to calm a child. That video that Dr. Desatel showed in July when she was in Cape May County, our officers saw that, right? So I have to change the perspective of the police officers from what's wrong with this kid to what happened to this kid. That's what the training is, and that's the foundation. Now I'm going to tell you that's not always easy, because police officers get pretty desensitized to things, right? And one thing that I found for them to relate is to talk about the trauma they've seen as police officers. I, like every police officer in this country, carry images in my head that I will keep with me to the day I die. I have seen horrific things human beings do to other human beings. And all police officers have these stories. Now, I chose to be exposed to this. This was my choice as a police officer. I would like to think my brain was fully developed, although I know Dr. Desatel said that for men it might be 40 for our brain to develop. So I know she was joking. But I would like to think my brain was fully developed, had the support system of my family, came from a department that talked to me about post-traumatic stress disorder, and still with all that, I'm able to manage it. Most police officers are, but it kind of just lives inside of you. I don't know other way to say it. The things that police officers see kind of live inside you. Now I ask police officers to think about that. They all know police officers that struggled with it, right? I had an officer commit suicide. We have one of the highest suicide rates in professions. So I've read some that only behind veterans police officers have a suicide rate. And I ask them to think about a child that's exposed to significant amounts of adversity. And I was talking with Mike, and he showed me a slide one time where some of the studies say that veterans exposed to combat, what's going on physiologically inside the body is similar to that of kids that have been exposed to a lot of adversity and stress. So training has to be the foundation, right? I've got to get that shift to the police officers from what's wrong with this kid to what happened to this kid. Next, we put in a policy called Trauma-Informed and Responsive Police Policy. We handle calls on a regular basis where kids are exposed to dramatic events, okay? We took some information from the Yale Childhood Development Center. They did a program in partnership with the International Association of Chiefs of Police on practices where kids are exposed to violence and some things we can do to reduce that impact. So we put a number of things in place, and I'll go over it more this afternoon, but some simple things. Try not to make an arrest of a parent in front of a child if necessary. Don't interview witnesses of a crime in front of a child. Do not use a child as an interpreter when there's a language barrier. Asking officers to get down at the eye level of the child when there is a dramatic incident to be able to send the most important message that we tell them is that they're safe, right? That they're safe. Talk to them about regulation, drinking water, sucking candy, different things to kind of regulate that child. We talk about follow-up visits, that after a child's been exposed to a traumatic incident, that an officer follows up, even if briefly, for 5 minutes. It can make a huge difference because we're in a unique position to be able to communicate that message of sense of security to that particular child. I was talking to a fellow chief in New Jersey who read the policy that we put out earlier this year. And he read the follow-up part and he told me a story. He said, I was on the road 15 years ago and I went to a domestic. And there was a 12-year-old kid there and he was really upset and I got him calmed down. I had a connection with him. And I told him, look, I'm going to come back and check on you. He was like, yeah, you do that. And the officer was off a couple days And it went by a couple weeks and he never got a chance to go over there. And he got dispatched to another call for a domestic. And when he pulled up, this kid came running out, screaming, "You said you were going to check on me. You said you were going to come see me, and you didn't." And how that bothered him. And when he read the section of the policy that we were going to follow up with kids, that resonated with him. I think that can make a huge difference where, we're here to help you, and we're going to keep you safe. Now, we understand that if we locked up dad for a domestic, he might not let us back in the home 2 weeks from now to talk to his child, but we can maybe do it in the school through the school resource officer. We talk about SWAT operations in our policy. I was a SWAT commander for 5 years. Go through the door of a drug search warrant and there's kids in the house. We just had one a couple weeks ago. How are we going to handle those situations to reduce the impact of those SWAT operations? Officers taking off their ballistic helmets, anything is covering their face, as soon as reasonably possible when everything's secure, and then assigning an officer to interact with that child to make sure he knows that we're safe, okay, that they're safe. We talk about death notifications where children are involved, how we're going to support the family in making that notification to a child if someone has passed that's close to them, and how we can support that. So that's number one, the policy. Number two, we put in a program called Handle with Care through a partnership with the school. This is based on a program that was started in West Virginia by the Attorney General's office. Cape Assist had provided some information to me on this a few years ago, and we instituted it just at the beginning of this school year. So with all these dramatic incidents that we're handling with police officers, what we typically have communicated to the principals of the schools have been if Johnny got locked up or if there's a threat to the school. We're not communicating whether or not that child is exposed to a dramatic incident. So we had to broaden the horizon, and this training, Handle Care, was done when we did the training earlier. So we are communicating to the school when a child has been exposed to a dramatic incident, not just when they're arrested or when there's a threat to the school. And I think that's important because, if we're not communicating information to the school, you could maybe compound the trauma by, disciplining the child because they forgot their homework or they were absent-minded or they're acting out, things along those lines. So we communicate that information to the school. First day of school was September 7th. And as of today, we've had 5 Handle with Care referrals already to the school districts in Middle Township. 5. I think that's sad. It breaks my heart. But it also, I feel good about the fact that we're doing something to help these kids. Next, final thing that we've done. We started a police youth camp that we offer for free to our residents. We focus on middle school kids, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So the first year we had 47 kids, a 6-day camp. We went to the principals and we said, refer to us kids that you believe will most benefit from positive interaction with police officers. And they automatically got in. The first year with the applications, everybody could get in. The second year, I wanted to keep it to 50 because there's a lot of money involved to do this for 6 days. We got 80 applications and only 50 slots. So I increased it from 50 to 60. The school principals, whoever they recommended, kids got in. And then after that, we did a lottery system for the rest of the kids. So we start out every day where we work out with the kids, PT, the officers working out with them, and then we have activities planned throughout the day. We deliver evidence-based curriculum, life skills, Botfin Life Skills program, Cape Assist delivers it. Each day has a theme, self-esteem, decision-making, goal setting. We have a parent orientation night where we share cards where they can talk with the kids each day about the activities that kind of lines up so we can get that communication going between the parent and guardian and the child. The activities that we do with the kids, we expose them to, different cool police stuff that they like, but we go to the water park with them. We go to the amusement park and we ride rides. We go to the county zoo and we get up in the zip lines and we're riding zip lines with the kids. We are interacting with these kids in a positive way for 6 days. We feed them. We cover the cost of everything. The business community contributes. And it's been one of the best things that we've ever done. And when we started this, we're thinking about the kids. What an impact this is going to have on the kids. Well, the thing I didn't see coming is the impact it had on the officers. How they're changing and how I see their perspective in dealing with these kids. I think some of them love it more than the kids, right? Which is absolutely great to see. We're collecting data pre-camp and post-camp, and also we're collecting data with the parents. And it's been fabulous. 76% of kids say that they have more of a positive impression of police officers. The one that I saw, and 7% is nothing to sneeze at when you're talking 60 kids, but 7% of kids said in their survey that before the camp, they didn't have an adult that they trusted, that they could go to and confide in, but now they feel like they do, right? The message that we send to police, that we're sending to our kids in our community, is that we are the police, we're in the community, we're here, we care about you, and we want to help. So that's just a brief overview of what we're doing at the Middle Township Police Department. I believe police departments and police chiefs are in a position to drive this conversation in communities. I believe that we can make a significant difference. I believe we're only hitting the tip of the iceberg, but my opinion, police departments across this country need to be focused on adverse childhood experiences like a laser beam, and we're in a position to be able to make a difference. So thank you very much.